Hello, today on Candy with Leah, we are making apple butter. So if you're lucky, you have been blessed with an abundance of apples. I know I was able to get some from my mother-in-law. Otherwise, hopefully you have some apple trees right now, or you can pick some up at a local orchard or maybe even the farmer's market. So what I've been doing here, first of all, I did get this fancy apple cutting gadget here. Many of you have probably seen them from like Pampered Chef, and those are great. But I actually picked this one up from Amazon for only 20 bucks, and it just suctions right to the counter, which is kind of nice. So that way you don't have to worry about gripping it to the edge of the counter like the other ones do. So I found that this is really helpful and handy. So it's just one of the fancy little ones where you just spin it like this, just keep spinning, and after you've done the spinning, it just nicely takes the peel off of it. And I always just make sure to pull off the ends with the peel on them. And then what I'm doing here is I'm doing 10 pounds of apples. So I've done them with the peeling and the slicing, and then I go ahead and just cut those slices into quarters, and then I'm adding them to my crock pot. So we're going to be making our apple butter completely in the crock pot today. It makes it super easy. All right, so now that we have the 10 pounds of apples added to the crock pot, we're gonna go ahead and add 2 cups of maple syrup. Of course, I had to follow a recipe that uses maple syrup as the sweetener, since that's just what we prefer to use for sweeteners around here. So we've got that added, and then we're gonna go ahead and do 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and do 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And I really like the cinnamon flavor. And of course I'm using the Frontier Co-op organic cinnamon.
We get it from Mathis Market.
Yes, we get it from Mathis Market. They've got the best spices there, and they're the organic ones, which is nice. And now we'll go ahead and get that all stirred together. Let me grab my spoon here. I wasn't prepared. So, got my spoon. And we'll go ahead and get that stirred together real nicely. And then once we have it stirred, we're going to go ahead and just put the lid on it and cook it for 1 hour on high.
Hi guys, welcome to the second part of the video.
So after I let off the last time here, we were cooking the apples on high for an hour. After an hour, I went in and I stirred them up really good, and then I turned the crock pot on low. And so I left the apples cooking on low for 6 hours. I just, every now and then, periodically went in there and stirred it, but it really wasn't all that difficult. So this really is a day project, one of those things that you want to start in the morning because it's going to go most of the day then. But of course you can be doing other things in the meantime. So I'll show you.
Wood.
Yes.
We made some wood.
We made some wood, correct. And cut a tree down. And so this is what the apples look like after the 6 hours of cooking in the crock pot on low. And so now we're gonna go ahead and make them more creamy, of course. So I like to use the immersion blender. So Lila, if you want to just scoot over for a moment here, I don't want you getting splattered with any hot apple butter. So we're just going to go ahead in here with the immersion blender and blend the apples. All right, so now that we have the apples all blended, it's in a very nice, smooth, thick applesauce consistency. So this is sort of what it looks like here. Definitely taking on the apple butter look now.
Yeah, and the reason that we use maple syrup is because that maple syrup tastes better. And second of all, it's not really like fake. It has a lot of real stuff, because who likes that fake stuff? Who likes that fake stuff?
Exactly. And so now we're going to go ahead and just keep the lid off of the apple butter and let it cook with the lid off for about 1 to 2 hours. And then just kind of keep an eye on it, stir it every probably 10-15 minutes or so. And then basically wait for it to get to whatever consistency you want it to get to. One thing that I also wanted to add is that when we're cooking it on high with the cover off to thicken it more, we want to put the crock pot back on high just to get a nice steam going. So now I've let the apple butter cook for about another hour here, just to thicken it up a little bit. So now it looks really nice and apple buttery. And while I was doing that, I did have to stir it, like I said, about 10 minutes, every 10 minutes or so, just so it wouldn't stick to the bottom. You don't want it to burn, certainly, after all that work. So now we're gonna go ahead and start canning it. So I am using 1/2 pint jars. I just find it to be nicer to use a little bit at a time. I do some of these fancy little jars and then just some of the regular 1/2 pints, just a mixture of each, especially if you're gonna maybe give some away for gifts. These are kind of nice little jars to use. So we'll go ahead, they're all cleaned, sanitized, and we'll just start ladling it in using the funnel. And we'll go ahead and fill it till it's about a 1/2 of an inch to a 1/4 of an inch from the top of the jar. So all right, and so now we have all of the jars filled, so we're going to go ahead and put them in the hot water back here, which I already have the water boiling. And we'll go ahead and just drop the jars in, making sure that they're totally covered in water, and then maybe another inch or so above them. And then we'll go ahead and cover the lid. And once a low boil starts, we'll go ahead and process them for 10 minutes. All right, and so we processed the jars for 10 minutes, and then I let them sit in the water for about 5 minutes after they were done boiling. So there you have it, some delicious apple butter. And of course, it is just delicious on toast and various other things. We love it, it's great. And thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to like the video and subscribe to Canning with Leah.